You are so stupid. Let me take that back. He didn't say you are so stupid. He would say, why are you so stupid? So he would pose it as a question to me. And then I would think to myself, why am I so stupid?
Welcome to a conversation between two friends.
This is Alice.
And I'm David.
And this is Truthfully Yours.
We are by no means experts or teachers, just speaking honestly within the bounds of friendship. If you found your way here, maybe there's something in that honesty meant for you too.
We invite you to lean in, and perhaps you'll recognize your own journey in ours.
Alice's father would ask her the same question over and over. Why are you so stupid? It wasn't a statement. It was a question, and she started asking it to herself. She was blamed for things she didn't do. She was told she wasn't good enough. She internalized it all. In this conversation, Alice shares how she rejected the negative self-talk that was spoken over her again and again, and how she finally stopped believing the lies she was told, embracing the truth of who she really is. This is Truthfully Yours. Now here's Alice and David.
As far back as I can remember, my dad would not talk very kindly to his children. I don't really remember what he would tell my siblings, but I remember what he told me. He would always tell me that I was stupid. This is a message I heard all the time. You are so stupid. Let me take that back. He didn't say you are so stupid. He would say, why are you so stupid? So he would pose it as a question to me. And then I would think to myself, why am I so stupid? And my dad was one of those types of guys who never took accountability for his own actions and always deflected responsibility and fault to other people.
We love these kind of people.
Yes. And that's because he was a very wounded man. I had always known this about my dad. He was very wounded. But the way he communicated with us was always in anger, never in love, never in love.
Even worse.
I've mentioned on this podcast before that he never used kind and loving words with us. The words he used with us were always very hurtful and hateful.
So this is your father's kind of negative self-talk. Wow.
And a lot of the things he would say, why are you so stupid, were for things I didn't even do. This is what was strange. Like if my sister did something bad, he didn't fault her for it. He would fault me for it. A good example of this was, I remember my sister got into a car accident and she was driving a stick shift. Keep in mind, I was not with my sister, but when my dad found out about the accident, he said, why are you so stupid? Why didn't you teach her how to drive well enough? And I remember thinking, what? But it was an accident. Like accidents happen every day.
Oh, okay. So this is someone who's just deflecting his responsibility onto you.
Right. But for me, I was often the scapegoat. Like I have 5 siblings, but I was often the one who had to take responsibility for why things went wrong with other people in our family, even if I wasn't involved. This was what was so crazy about this. It's like I was being gaslit by him all the time.
Right.
And so that was the messaging I heard. And I bring this up because I struggled with not feeling confident in my own decision-making for myself. I was so concerned that I would make the wrong decision. So I deflected that responsibility to other people. And so the way this impacted me was not doing well in school. It turns out that I was dyslexic. I would see numbers and letters backwards. I had ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed with this until I was 40. And I always knew that I was different.
Yeah.
Traditional learning was very difficult for me. I knew something was wrong because things were not making sense to me. And that was something we never talked about in our house. I think that it's very common in Asian immigrant families to do well in school, but you don't get support from your parents. Parents often expect the kid to figure it out for themselves, or they just assume the school's doing their job. So if you're not meeting their expectation, that means there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
School was so challenging for me. I always thought something's wrong with me because I'm so stupid. Your brain starts seeing evidence and then your brain believes it. And then that becomes like a truth, a false truth.
Yeah.
I knew that I was different, but I also knew where my strengths lied. My strengths lied in athletics. I was always very athletic from a very early age, exceptionally athletic in middle school and high school. But I was not allowed to join sports teams, but I would excel in other ways. I was in an advanced co-ed volleyball league, and it was a church league. And the funny thing about this was co-ed meant you had one girl on your team in the game at all times. So you just needed one. In our church league, I played in an adult volleyball league with college-aged men as a sixth grader because I was the only girl. I learned to play volleyball with adult men who would often pick on me in games. Like I would get spiked on all the time. But I became really good at defense, like so good. Before my first day of high school even officially started, I had already made the starting varsity team.
Nice.
And that's without being on like a league team or anything like that. So I was good.
Playing club, yeah.
Right. And then in high school, there was an athletic organization for sports in the United States for Korean Americans. It was an official, national league, and each state had its own teams that would represent them. And so as a sophomore, because I was so fast, I represented Washington as a sophomore. And it's not like I was ever in a track club, but I took second at the national event in Chicago. Isn't that crazy?
Nice.
So I was known as a very fast runner, but I never did track. So I knew I was always good at athletics. Even in elementary school, I was very good at sports. And then art, so good at art. And so it doesn't surprise me that I was good at athletics and things that were creative, but not good at traditional academics. But my parents didn't value those things. And so the messaging still would be, you're so stupid. Why are you doing these other things?
Yeah, what you're talking about, this is reminding me of dialectical behavioral therapy, where we have a tree, we have roots, a trunk, and branches. And so like the roots could be like an emotionally critical parent saying, oh, you're not good enough, or hey, why are you so stupid, or all of these things. And then the trunk is this belief system that becomes instilled in part of who you are, which is I'm not good enough. And then the branches are the behaviors. So you have a childhood experience, you have a deep belief that becomes ingrained about yourself, and then you have the behaviors, which are perfectionism, people pleasing, and harsh self-talk, critical self-talk. And so it's helpful, and sometimes in therapy, to start with the branches and work your way back down to where did this come from? And that's exactly right. And I think it's like you had described, just really powerful to get back to the point of like, wait a minute, where did this root come from? Who told me that I wasn't smart enough? Who told me that I wasn't good enough? And why did they say that? And that's a powerful moment, because those are such debilitating beliefs too. Because sometimes when we overfixate on one thing, like, oh, I'm not smart enough, all of a sudden we can amplify that. Like, oh, I didn't get this job. Oh, it had to be because I wasn't smart enough. Oh, I didn't get 100% on this test. It had to be because I wasn't smart enough. Or what's the point of me studying more and more and more if I'm not smart enough, right? Instead of having that not even in our brain at all to begin with, and just saying, I'm going to try my best. God, golly, I'm going to study hard and I'm going to put my best foot forward for this job. And if I didn't get it, well, what can I learn differently? How should I try differently the next time? Or in taking an exam and getting a score that reflects on, oh, I should focus in this area more to learn more about this because I was a little bit deficient in my studying. It's such a powerful thing that can influence us, like you say, for decades of our lives, especially if it's something that's told us when we're children.
I've never heard of that, by the way. So that's good. I'm going to look it up. Thinking about my adult life, and by the time I was diagnosed, I didn't suffer from that messaging because I had already figured out what I was good at. And by that time, as an adult, I knew what ADHD was. I probably knew I had it from the time I was 21. but I never officially got diagnosed because I thought, well, why would it matter? So I read a ton of books on it and started doing things that would help with behavioral therapy, including exercise is a major alternative therapy for ADHD. So I think that's why I incorporate it in my daily life, because it's just good for me. And I decided, so all these creative things that I'm really good at, I just have to channel my energy into that. That I'm actually not stupid at all. I'm actually really smart. And I like learning. I like learning about things that I want to learn. But I don't want to focus on science and math because why? Like, why would I ever need to? When I really had an interest in photography and cooking, and I ended up utilizing all of that and made a really nice career for myself doing the things that I love doing. And I think about that negative self-talk, how it shaped me as a human, how it shaped my interactions, my relationships with other people. And it's really sad to me that I allowed this to stay in my belief system for so long before I decided for myself that that's just not true. I think about how that negative self-talk shaped the way I thought about certain things like, I could never do this because. But you know what's nice? When you can shake that negative self-talk off of you, when you get to that point that you know it's not true, and then you only believe the things that are true about yourself, that opens up a whole new world. Like, I am good at this stuff. And then you can pursue those things, and then you can build yourself up that way, that you don't have to allow what other people think of you to impact the way you look at yourself and to define what you're capable of doing. And I wish somebody would have told me this 30 years ago, 40 years ago, because that would have saved myself a lot of pain of having to figure this all out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly reminding myself of who I am now. What am I good at now? What is the truth? Who do I say the truth of who I am is? And living by that truth instead of the truth that other people have tried to put me in and basically cage me in. And I think sometimes looking back, I hate the fact that I allowed people to do that to me, to actually maybe gaslight into believing that I was a certain way or a certain type of person when in reality I wasn't. But I could not trust myself to say, no, I'm not. I'm not that person. I hate that I allowed that to happen for so long with different people. When we do think negatively about ourselves and we have negative self-talk, it does distort the way that we interpret how other people interact with us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not to give myself a pat on the back. I'm not trying to say, good job, Alice. I know it probably comes across that way. But I think for me, it comes down to like, thank God you listened to that inner voice inside you. I said, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. Don't believe the lie. I mean, that voice has saved me so many times, in times when I was put in harm's path, for sure. I am so glad that there was this core belief within myself that knew whatever other people were saying was just not true. I'm glad I arrived at that point where I just decided, no, that's just not it. I don't believe that. Like, full sail, just reject that messaging. And I think if it hadn't been for that, I probably would be on a very different path and probably never feel secure within myself. But as it stands, I feel very secure in myself. I'm very proud of myself. I'm glad I figured out what works for me. And I'm glad that I proved a lot of those people wrong.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe to Truthfully Yours wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes weekly on Thursdays. We'd love for you to share this with someone who might need to hear it. For more about the show and Alice and David, visit truthfullyyours.com.